Cheers, guys. So, welcome to my channel again. Yellow, 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 yellow. I don't know what to talk about. Okay, but seriously, welcome to my channel, and today I would like to focus on my single called I Need You. It wasn't a fully acoustic song, and I haven't used any VSTs itself. I only used my friends, musicians, Tomir Spiołek and Petra Żachowski. You can follow them on Instagram. They're amazing. I love them. So basically, this is a song I've written around 3 years ago, and you know, sometimes you have those songs that you have to kind of get into the vibe, like you're so emotionally attached that you cannot just go into the studio and record itself, and that is that kind of song. I was so emotionally attached that I couldn't record the vocals, but since it's a acoustic song, I didn't want it to record it just like that in my studio with my, with my setup. And I had the opportunity to record the vocals in TYE, Untitled Education, follow them. And I love them. And that's why I could also use very, very good gear and very good microphones. That is why I didn't need it to do a lot of mixing and mastering itself, because it was already kind of mixed a bit, because we used analog compression, analog EQ from the mixing table from the TYE studio, and I was recording on 2 microphones at one time, and those 2 recordings I did use because different microphones means different characteristics. But let's get from the top. So first thing I recorded ever was piano, and I didn't use MIDI files this time just because I have an amazing piano player who's got Nord, and Nord has a very good sound of piano, so I really wanted to use that sound, and I didn't want it to do a lot to it. So as you can see, this is the piano. Yeah, of course, I've got different names for it, as usual. And the only thing I did was actually the plugin for gain. Why? Because you can change the phase of the track. So what happened here, when I was recording, at some point, the phase of the track of the piano track and phase of the bass track interfered with each other, and that's why some of the frequencies aren't hearable. That's why you need to change the phase. I will show you in a second what happens if you don't have the phase and what happens if you have the phase. So when you have the phase inverted, so you can hear how it sounds without inverting the phase and how it sounds with the inverting phase. And this is the piano, and this is the bass. So now those 2 are with the inverted phase already. But if I revert it, listen to it. See, the piano is hidden, and we don't want the hidden piano because piano is the main instrument in that song, except from vocals. So we really want the piano to have it like in your face. So that is why I was searching for the problem, and I found it in the phase. So what we do, we just change one side phase. Don't change 2 sides because you'll get the same result as before inverting phases. So just let's invert one phase, and now the piano is in front without changing the gain at all. saying, like, this is all we do with the piano. No compression, nothing. And by the way, Tomir has an amazing band called Immortal Onion. Here's their Instagram. And you should definitely check them out. They're amazeballs. Okay, so the bass. My beloved bass player, Petra. This is the bass line that I had to cut it just slightly because, you know, sometimes you just need to pick, you know, the notes. But basically it's almost a one take. As you can see, it wasn't cutted. It's just cutted here to define the word emptiness in the vocal. So bass line just goes down and you're like, what happened? Let's listen the bass on a solo. So this is the bass without anything. The bass itself sounds very, very good. It was recorded on Maya's guitar, Maya's bass. I don't remember, was it Slogan? I think that was Slogan, yeah, because that was the first piece of bass. Yeah, so that was recorded on Slogan, and it has a very distinguished sound already, so we don't have to do a lot. So what I did, I used EQ. And sometimes I'm lazy, do you know what I mean? And this time I think I was lazy. I of course changed it slightly, but some of the EQs have presets, and sometimes it's good to use presets and then change them, because this is a suggestion of what we should do. And since I don't have a lot of time and sometimes I have to work fast, I really like presets. So this is the preset for bass guitar tonal control, and you can see that it is a very different type of EQing because it's a dynamic EQing. That means that if I want to cut down one of the frequencies, but I don't want to cut it all the time, I just want to cut it when it's too high on the register, then I take here like the dynamic range, so it's like plus 4 dB. That means that when it hits plus 4, I start to cut it. If it's, I can change it to more, but I can also like minus 10, right? Let's leave it on the plus 4. I hope you got what I meant. So basically, when there is a frequency that you don't necessarily want to cut, but sometimes, just sometimes in some of the notes that, you know, somebody's playing, in this example it's a bass guitar, some of the notes are very, very loud in comparison to the rest of the notes. You can actually use the dynamic range EQing. That means it will cut down this actual frequency just when it's louder than, and here it's louder than 4 dB. Do you know what I mean? Okay, and same thing with those frequencies. Here you can see that it's plus 2 and 233 dB. Here I have dynamic range 0, so I don't have a dynamic cut. Here I have dynamic cut, and here it's like minus 79, so it's also like cutting just if it's over minus 2 and 79 dB. Yeah. So this is basically how the dynamic EQing works, and with the EQ, let's listen to the bass with the EQ and without the EQ. See, it's less muddy. I didn't want the mud, because then you wouldn't hear the cleanness of the sound. And next up is compression, because we've cut it a lot of frequencies, so we made it a bit more silent, so we made it quieter. That is why I use compression. And here is the compression, and you can hear that, and you can also see that the input gain is around 30, and the output is much higher because it's around -12. Oh, -15, -30, but here is like -40. So you can see that there is a difference at least 10 dBs. So that's what I wanted to achieve. Okay. And this is basically it. Yeah. Did I do anything to backing track? No. And also, there is a part on the last chorus where Justin Gertrude, here is his Instagram, amazing guy from our university, helped me out. So I was stuck with the arrangement, and I didn't have any idea what to do on the end of the song. And I was like, I want to have it a more emotional, like, you know, like it hits you. So he suggested, Veronica, you have drums here, and you have a shaker, and you have everything. So just take the microphone, like a regular standard condenser mic, and just record whatever. So I was like, but I can't do shaker. So he helped me out. So we did drums with our hands. First thing was, this is the shaker. So let's listen to the shaker on a solo. What I did, I just added a little bit of room because it was very dry. This is the actual recording. This is with the room. And I took, in this case, I took Valhalla Room. It's almost the initial Valhalla Room, but I added some delay, so it means that it starts earlier. Okay. And then we added some second shaker. This was fun. This was really, really fun. So what happened here? This is the most unprofessional recording I ever did, but also it has the vibe that I wanted to have. Let's look how it was sounding before and after. So this is before. Okay, so it was very, very weak, but you don't have to be in the studio. We don't have to be in a real studio to make the sound from the studio. If you're a creative, if you don't set yourself any walls and obstacles, and you just think around and think how to achieve something without having the actual thing, you can invent anything, and you can come up with much more cool solutions than you would if you would be sitting in the real studio. So I think that is why I like to sit in my room and just think about random stuff. So here is the EQ that I did for this. This is the first EQ. So let's hear what happened. So I added some frequency to kick, so it's more pillowy. I took down the room. Let's hear. This sound is not good, but I added also presence and the snare, like imitation of snare of a rim shot. And took down the high because I didn't want it to have the room. Because I was recording that in the classroom. In a regular classroom. And also I took down the lows. Always take down the low end. But if it comes to the kick, don't take down too much of low end. Because every instrument have different low end. So if it comes to kick, don't take down more than 30 hertz. Around 30. Just because kick is a very low instrument and we don't want to take the heart of the kick out. So that's why we just take down the 30, because we don't hear a lot on the 30. So we don't want that because it's the mud, as I say. But the rest of it is the heart of the kick. So that's why we take it up. It's like the heart of a kick is usually between 80 and 120. It depends of the kick, of the type of the kick. But in this case it was 109. So that's how it's done. And we can listen how it sounded before and after. Before. After. So it's softer in the sound. It's not that harsh as it was and not that muddy. Next thing that I did, since the recording is not loud in comparison to the rest of the instruments, I took the compression, and what I did, I left the standard attack of 15 milliseconds and release of 51, and this is what happened. So it's pumping quite much, but this is what I wanted to achieve and wanted to have a bit louder recording. So I added some makeup, like 3 decibels, and this just gives you a bit of more depth in the sound and loudness. And of course compression means it's more similar in the dynamics, because you can see that I have like some, some picks in the accents, and I didn't want to have them. And next up is another filter, EQ, just because when I added compression, one frequency stick out, and this is a very muddy resonance frequency. Let's listen to the frequency. See? And I didn't want it to have that frequency because it was a dissonance between drums and rest of the instrumental. Let's hear with the instrumental. So this is without the plastic cue. This is with elastics. And now the last part of the instrumental. As you can see, the song is very, very minimalistic. I added also some reverbs. So those are the reverbs. On the bus 7, I have a Valhalla room, the same as for the shakers. And on the bus 8, I added vintage verb. As I said, I love Valhalla. And this is a smooth plate. You can read here that it's a fast diffuse attack, thoroughly dense initial echo density. So basically plate, what that means, this is this is called after the first reverbs that were made, and they've built a reverb from a metal plate. So what happened? You have here a metal plate, how the analog reverbs looked like, how they were built. You had the metal plate and the the sound coming onto the metal plate, and the plate was in the resonance because of the sound wave, and this was making an echo, but you can't hear that. But what they did, they took a very small microphone, they put the microphone on the metal plate, and they took down the signal from the metal plate, and this is the actual reverb that we hear. So I can show you how the reverb from the plate, the imitation of the reverb, plate reverb sounds like. You can hear that it's kind of metallic, and that's because the classic plate reverb was made from metal plate. Yeah. And that's what I wanted to have. It's a very classical way of using the reverb on the drums. So the last but not least in an instrumental is the guitar, Spanish guitar. Thank you, Justin, again, because you were a guitar player and you just played random stuff which suited my song perfectly. And let's listen to the guitar without anything. So this is a Spanish guitar, a special guitar with special strings. So it's very metallic in the sound. And this is the filter that I did. So I didn't want it to have high end, which is a very harsh sounding one, because the Spanish guitar is very bright, so I didn't want it to have too much brightness in the whole song. Then I added some 1.6 just because it has a bit more plucking, and I wanted to have a very plucky sound. And then I added 320. This is a low end of the guitar and the heart of it. And this is basically it. That's all I did. And then I added some reverbs. So one reverb that I added is the smooth plate, the same as I did for drums. And I also added shimmer, which I'm showing you for the first time. I love shimmer. So I love shimmer. Thanks to shimmer, you get an impression like you would use another instrument, like a pad. What is shimmer? It's basically a very, very long diffused reverb. And this is how it sounds like on a solo. It gives the ambience, the space. So let's listen in the whole context, like everything. Okay. But now the most important part, which is the vocals. So what I did, if you want to section your instruments, which I can section it here, actually, take your tracks with the shift, and then so right click on your mouse, then create track stack and summing stack, because if you make a summing stack, you can operate on every single track within the same plugin, and you don't have to use your CPU so much thanks to this, because the whole thing is sent to another bus. And this summing stack would be the last chorus instrumental. Okay, let's just leave it. So we did the instrumental itself, and now the biggest fun of my life, which means the vocals. I made a summing track with the vocals, of course. On the summing track I have Nectar, but I will get rid of it because I don't own Nectar. I had some kind of de-essing and stuff in it, but let's just get rid of it. I don't care. I can actually make that again with the regular plugins, and then I had some Valhallas and delays and stuff, which is here. And let's listen to dry vocals. So those vocals were recorded in TYE, and they were recorded on a very good gear. So one vocal is from Elam microphone, and this is a tube microphone. Stevie Wonder was singing to those. And second one is from Aston. I think that was a Spirit one. Yeah, no, sorry, Stealth. So the new one, the very similar one to the SM7B Shure, which I actually suggest if you don't have a proper studio, then I would suggest you would buy either a 7B or Aston Stealth, which is very good. Actually, Aston Stealth has much more combinations because you can change the characteristics of it, and I think that would be a good option. And also it's a quite budget one, so you won't have to buy anything expensive. But the thing with the microphone, with the dynamic microphone for the recording, the studio microphone, is that if you use either a 7B or a Stealth instead of a condenser mic, you have to remember about putting gain much higher, because dynamic microphones are much less sensitive than the condenser mics and tube mics. So my vocals went through analog compression and EQing beforehand, before I even touched it, and I comped my vocals.
You took my heart in hand,
okay,
and made it yours. You told me how to breathe the air.
This is my raw vocal from analog compression
and held my hand. You made me who I am. I'm yours.
Okay, so you can hear a difference between the microphones.
Am not.
This is Elam. Let's listen to Aston and Elam.
I need you, not me. Oh, and I am not.
This is Aston.
And when you're not here with me,
this is Elam.
I need you, I need you.
So even now, even though I used compression and the gain was much higher on Aston, you can hear the difference between a dynamic and tube mic. Tube mic is much louder than the dynamic mic, but it's the characteristics of it, so we don't have a problem with that because we have compression and we don't have to worry about it. So those two together, played together, sound like that.
I am not free enough when you're not here with me. I need you, I need.
And of course I did same thing to one and the second one. So this is a studio FET compression, and I added some compression with a very fast attack, so it actually picks everything because I wanted to leave it as it is, kinda. So I wanted to have a feel of me singing in your room, so that it's not edited that much, so you can hear all the breaths and, you know, like everything. Of course not too much, but you can hear that, so you can feel it was a one take kinda. And the release is around 200 because it's a slow song, so the you know the notes are very slow and ending very slow, so we want to compress it pretty much. Yeah, and this is how it sounds like with the compression and the
maybe I need you.
Okay.
When you're not here.
And then I worked on the EQ.
So please don't walk away.
I really wanted the high
Stay
end,
with
so
me.
I put it up pretty much, and I think even it's even too much. Okay, that is how it should be. And also the presence in here, like it's so the presence is around 5,000. Here you have the frequency, like duck frequency, so I cut it off. And also quite muddy frequency on 800, and then of course cut down all the low end because we don't like the low end in the vocals. And yeah, and the second EQ was basically just this, because Ellum sounds amazing and I love Ellum, and I don't have to do a lot with Ellum, just the presence.
Enough when you're not here with me. I need you now, maybe. And I am not free enough when you're not here with me. I need you now, maybe. I need you now, maybe. I need you, oh
Can you hear the nasal?
yeah. I need you now, maybe. I need you
it's
now.
And then
And I am not free enough when you're not here with me. I need you now, maybe.
Let's
I
see
need
how
you
it sounds like without the reverb.
now, maybe. I need you, oh yeah. I need you now, maybe. I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you. I need you, I need you. I need you now.
okay, but let's come back to the topic. And so on the full channel strip, which is a track stack, I send it to some buses, which are Valhalla Vintage on Nunlin, and it's a very short one. It's like a slap almost.
I am not.
Then I added some Valhalla Vintage smooth blade, but like on colorism on now and 3.3, so very long reverb because it's a slow song and we really want to have very long reverb, and I named it even like a big reverb, and this is how it sounds like. Can you hear that? And I EQ'd it a bit because I didn't want to have too much headroom, so I cut it off all the high frequencies that were messing around with my mix, because if I switch it off, it's fresh but it's too much dampness, let's say, and this is like, you know, yeah. And this is how it sounds like with all the stuff. This is a delay, but I don't know if I used it or not. Oh no, I have an automation on it. So if you want to put an automation mode in Logic, just click A as automation, and then you go on and you just click what you want to automate, if it's volume or what. and here I was automating the reverb and the delay in here. I used it just once. Yeah, and let's listen to how it sounds like with all the stuff in.
I feel this emptiness when you're
So it
not
goes like-
here, 'cause
Okay.
you
Yeah, this is basically the fun around effects, so you can always automate them. I wouldn't use, for example, delays all the way from the top to the end. I would rather use less delays and just, you know, once in a while to make it more like a, you know, like a wow, what was that? Do you know what I mean? Now the BVs. So the BVs. Let's listen to the BVs. Let's hide the automation mode. And let's open the BVs. So what do I have here?
you told the air.
So for the most of the song, I have just one harmony, and this is the harmony. I didn't pan it. I didn't have, like, you know,
Yours.
I can actually do that.
I am not free
I would pan it like that.
enough when you're not here
And it's that
with
E,
me. I need
and
you,
it's that
I
E.
need you now, maybe.
And also here, like, one is from Aston and one is from Ellum. And what I did, I worked around quite similar. So what I did, I didn't put on every vocal another compression, but in the track stack I just put the compression on for all of them, and this is how it looks like, and this is how it compresses.
I need you, oh yeah. I need you now, maybe. I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you. I need you, I need you. I need you, I need you now.
And this is basically it. And then I used some EQ. I added some presence, but like a higher presence than in the main vocal. Cut it off the nasals, added some space, and cut off all the mud, pretty much. I wanted to have a very plain BVs because the main vocal is the main thing in the whole song, so I didn't want it to have like fully frequenced BVs, let's say. I wanted to have them plain as much as I could. So that's why I EQ'd them that way, and I added some Valhalla Vintage Verb, the Nunin one, so the very fast one reverb, like very short reverb, and the second one that I did with the cut of headroom, the smooth plate. And also, like, most of the stuff you have to do by ear, and you have to know what you want to have as a sound. If you want long reverb, if you want short reverb, if you want to have a lot of reverb on. So those are the things that nobody can advise you in. They can just advise you in how they listen to it and how they would hear it. But everything depends on you guys, and that's why it's so beautiful, because everybody is different and everybody hears differently, and this is all made by your imagination and how we listen to music and how we want it to sound. So this is my way of listening to music and hearing the music. So yeah, I didn't edit a lot, and those are the second harmonies, and all I did, I added actually a bit more you know, like reverb on those, and this is all I did. And basically this is the whole song. Yeah, let's listen to it.
I am not free enough when you're not here with me. I need you now, baby. I need you now, baby. I need you, oh yeah. I need you now, baby. I need you, I need you, I need you, I need you.
Woo, you're still here. Okay, so you can subscribe to my channel in here if you liked it and you would like to see more. And now, I gotta go. Bye!